On behalf of Drikung Seattle and the International Sangha, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you, Your Eminence Garchen Rinpoche. Drikung Seattle is the host of this weekend's event. So with many from around the world people, we feel so grateful and happy to be able to meet you online and to receive today the empowerment and tomorrow the Milarepa teaching. We know that in this difficult time of COVID, the world needs more prayers and supplication to Parnashavari and the wisdom of Milarepa more than ever. We look forward very much to today's empowerment, and would like to also welcome Campbell Subsong, who will be teaching again tomorrow, and Abulama will be lead as the practice, and the Parnashavari Sandana prepared by His Holiness Chacha Rinpoche. We also like to welcome all the Lamas, Annie Sampton, Annie Dagme, Christina, and the whole GBI team. We welcome also goes to all the translators, Ina, Susu, Sasha, Teresa. I wish the Sangha a wonderful time with our precious teacher, Garchen Rinpoche. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Okay, good. La. Oh my God, I can hardly hear you. Okay, the name. Tini tanda Seattle, tini Drikung Seattle, tini Zambolin Kasa kagi Chuzog Loma Tama ki Tab Sene, ni Rinpoche ni Tapa ni Tashi Tele Shuya Yo, tini tanda ki Zerem di Drikung Seattle Koti Segi Yo, tini Nayang Tangaso Zambolin Kasa kagi Loma Tanda Rinpoche Jar Tupa Nangaso Bemase Gabo Jung Gabo Yom Tini Tering Rinpoche Wang Nangyutang Sanin Milarepa Kikachu Nangyitim Nin Tapane Tuti Shishua Yom Tini Tengsan Gitula Lapper to Neam Chape Kabla Zambolin Lapper to Sosoba Melam the Logium Soba Melang on Gogo Yorim Tini Milarepa Kaching on Goya Yorim Tini Tibet and Wang Nangi Tini Sanin Kachin and Ting also Pega Wuchung Tini Kempo Tupsan Yang Sani Taro Moon Tune Kachin Ayari Tini Abo Lamaki Nyamle so Chiari Tini and so Logio Bagi Dupta Namensiari Ti Jangyo Rinpoche Na Yori Tini Taro Lama Tama Tini Ani something Ani Tame Christina Tini GPI Lega Sinken Tamala Tashi Tela Shua Yom Tini Kigyo Tamala Ina Susu Sasha Tang Teresa Tamala Tashi Tela Shua Rim and Tini Answer Tanda Kiran Tama Tanati Kokap Taj and Botine Kiwo Chuna Revayus.
Maho.
Billy, I can hardly hear Rinpoche. Can you make sure the microphone is closer? It's extremely muffled. This not doesn't. I don't think it's gonna work really well.
Oh yeah. That just the way to roll them some degeneration. There is a yeah, to talk to getting the one. One, that's my Mabush already. One, give it to Mamma, that one she got that, and the show your mammy, me pass about one from there is a good of the mammy, don't come on a quarter and get down so much. Bring it, don't need it only around, don't you just a top. You sending from Jeremy, nor the Guatom to the Sendi Sanjay membership party. They top short about the Lander was so done, Sumani, the Lam Cheese of Yalam, Sonara Lam, the Nohachiba doesn't match about 1 year. So then Sohamato. Sodani the one Mare the Nyalamba
So Dashitele met their Dharma friends from all over the world. Today, hosted by the Seattle Center, we will have Parnashavari empowerment. And so generally we receive many empowerments, and an empowerment has a lot of meaning. And so and I'm always explaining the meaning of this an empowerment whenever we receive one. Sorry. But so generally, the real meaning of the empowerment is to ripen that which is unripe. And that which is unripe is the minds of sentient beings. So for as long as sentient beings have not ripened or matured, they are bound to only experience suffering. So we call it the samsaric ocean of suffering. But when they mature, they become liberated from suffering. And then for their own purpose, they attain the kingdom of the Dharmakaya. And for the purpose of others, they continue to manifest in the 6 realms of samsara to benefit sentient beings there and help them mature into enlightenment. And so the empowerment, the secret mantra path is the supreme method to mature sentient beings. So the Buddha had taught 3 levels of the path, the Pratimoksha, Bodhisattva, and the Vajrayana vehicles. And among these, the Vajrayana path of secret mantra is called the swift path. And it is also said that the difference between the sutras and the tantras is the empowerment. So only in the secret mantra system of the Vajrayana do we have empowerment. Empowerment does not occur in the context of the sutra teachings. So again, the path of the secret mantra, Vajrayana, is a swift path of skillful means.
Yang semte yang sang sangye semte sangye yang yin dubaya yo so tiri duba kari tiri marikpa ni so marikpa ni te semra ga neru ma to ba tiri to dang duba tiri gay kepa ma shira tiri kudok duba kudok le duba tajo tala mishiri tiri je machine tiri nobody beyond the jump, look at the main judge. Come later, 다지 니선 통례들이 다소 제는 다소 제들이 다를 차를 들이 지는 당들이 차당니 손을 찌르시니 차당니가 뭐되더니 그러나 첫 방문은 들이 제람이 들이 따로들이 쳐서 가도 전로고 쳐라왕 쳐로고 배세서들이 말을 받으려 들이 콜레서 들이 제일 뉴몬바 독성들이 야자성서들이 뉴몬바 족차를 이제 로아를 좀 상다다 로아를 소소로 동네에 타와 요말 따뜻한 잡을리는 무슨 동네 집아 최종 마도등이 진짜에 받는 연구 요나요 그 정상 잡을리는 라포트들이 너가 하도 속치보다 정말 그 강의지 생물능과의 속체 내 속치고상을 뜻이양 저동의 속치고 차음을 배대서는 너나들이 그동부터 발라들이 다 레이즈를 찾아타와 마시를 그때들이 데베 조강의 마시 동행의 조강의 빵마시 데베 조강의 드마시 그래서 다 사제의 대문들이 토만이 sentin tamchi deva tak deva jatam deva chochi som 그래서 deva 차와지 선들 deva 차와요 제 적함이지 이제 받아 진짜리스 동네 저 차와 동네 저 차와 이제 또 나기 이제 차와 들이 준비를 마시는지 따뜻하지 마음속에 따뜻한 동네 연구야 동네 연구는 뒤에는 좀 다양한 요래 들 잡으려는 따다 누구 차상도 차만 냠는 연구요 말이 그 용들이 작합작할로 제발 요래 말 제발 요래 그렇지 또 용만한테 다른 걸 내사 제 정말 레지다 말만 흘러서 이송 들으자도 다들 싹시 치웠던 데지 다 동네 이제 머리 톱장더니 들어다버들이 동네 잡으려는 연구를 방법이 오래 종님 말에 말아 동네에서 들어다버는 연구가 그래서 저는 놀들이 통화왕랑 없고 통을 내주려고 못해 못해지 terzileri deve giusto sento molto in terzileri deve tapzileri le degeneration deve giusto amare dice daji daji roten derni daji roten semzamacha sen지 가면은 이제 차는 그 돈다고 대봐 다지 님에봐 sem나 갔다가 차용 거리면은 들이 대하고들이 동네 매번 대화치 뭐지 저는 샘들아 라는 거 좋아하는 동네 매번 대화치 뭐야 샘을 들어요 동네도 동네 이제 샘지네 저래 좀 샘지 그래서 저기 좀 이제 그 라는 샘이 없어 샘도 이제 저래 리더 말이야 샘 저래서 그 샘들은 동네도 다지 전에 그때 사제가 좀 되게 되면서 같은 매파서는 다들 코와 토마 매파는 여기 들었고 요 말이 그때 동네인데 또 동네 차차 좀 니가 니가 다지세 말이지 다지네 뉴모 받을 때 라는 메뉴레스 내가 좀 이제 통나오 단지 내가 저하면 삼바디 신지 되게 저 차와들이 대화 차라 탐지들이 내가 저 사바서 니르지 탑고 요리 상은 주제를 내지가 가시지 들이 주제를 다들아 라마노나 그래서 다 로마자들만 소만하지 레지브를 미시지상성 다들 추산을 이제 가다는 좀 벌다서 이제 뭔가 그거는 송바에 제제들이 주제 찾을 처하시 하고 우리 그래서 동이 제법 값을 다들 다 가려버리들 토마니 동이들 속에 주성을 랑랑나 주성 레리랑랑요 수주성 다디가 유용의 주성 대하고는 동이 짜들이 다하고 저거요 대하고는 이해를 해요 말에 잡으려는데도 동이 거들 동이 민담이 제발요 동이 차원은 참념용으로 말에 그랬더니 누구를 찾아 찾았다면 뒷상으로 양장에서 동거를 해도 막 그러더라
So the Buddha had said all beings are actually Buddhas, and beings are only obscured by adventitious stains. And adventitious stains are within the mind. So all beings are Buddhas is that all beings, the mind of all beings is actually Buddha. But also the Buddha said that even though they are Buddhas, they are obscured. Their minds are obscured. And what is it that obscures the mind? It is the two kinds of ignorance. It is the ultimate ignorance, which is to not realize one's true nature. And then it is the relative, so that's the ultimate obscuration. And the relative obscuration is not knowing the workings of karma, cause and effect, the subtle workings of karma. And so it depends, mainly the reason why we do not recognize this begins with the ultimate obscuration, and that is the dualistic perception, the grasping at self and other. And so when we see ourselves in a dualistic way, then the self is most important, and we become attached to the self, and we develop an aversion against other. So the mind in its natural state is actually like clear water, but it has become tainted by thoughts of attachment and aversion, by dualistic thoughts. So it's like various substances were added to the water, and that changed its color temporarily. So the mind has lost its autonomy, its freedom. And so then due to this dualistic perception, then we create karma to take birth in samsara. So first the three poisons arise, and then on top of that there is three more poisons. So we have 6 afflictive emotions, which cause us to wander in the 6 realms of samsara. And as we wander in samsara, we never find any freedom from our suffering. And in this world, everyone suffers. Everyone experiences actual suffering, especially also nowadays. We actually experience great suffering, but still not everyone experiences it in the same way. People experience suffering to varying degrees. And that is due to varying karmas. So there are some people in the world who experience a lot of suffering, especially nowadays. And so why is that? It's because when the afflictive emotions in the mind are very powerful, then one will commit very powerful karma. And if one commits very powerful karma, one will experience powerful suffering as a result. So in brief, it comes down to the relative obscuration, which is an unawareness of the workings of karma, cause and effect. It is to not know the causes of happiness, and therefore one does not create those causes. And it is to not know the causes of suffering, and therefore one doesn't abandon those causes of suffering. So this is what the Buddha meant when he first made this prayer: may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. So the cause of even the slightest happiness is love and compassion. And the cause of even the slightest suffering is self-grasping, dualistic thinking. And due to that, we do not understand truly karma. And then our actions are mistaken, and as a result, we experience suffering. But still, even though that is the case, we can utilize this knowledge to really think about it. So now in this world, as we have said, not everyone experiences suffering in the same way. So there's different countries in the world. There's a difference in terms of where one lives, or even in one country, for example, one might have a different experience due to like what race one belongs to, and so on. So basically, it is because of us having accumulated a different karma that we experience different levels of result. But once karma is created, its ripening is said to be unfailing. And so there are, for example, those who have accumulated more powerful negative karma. And those people, even though they are born as human beings, many human beings in the world experience suffering just like an animal. So in brief, now when we receive an empowerment, what we are first introduced to is karma, cause and effect. And that's the cause for happiness is bodhichitta. So if you understand karma, you understand that the cause for happiness is love and compassion. And then you understand, if you understand karma, you know that when this self-cherishing attitude becomes subdued, the mind then comes to its naturally pure state, which is like clear water. And then in such a state, you can see the ultimate truth, that actually self and other do not really exist. That mind is like space, and within space there is no division or duality. And when you realize that, then you attain a state of great bliss that is free from all suffering. And that is something that can be accomplished only through your own mind. Everything is created by your own mind. And likewise, also, all of your suffering is created only by your own mind. So the mind is really most important, which is why the Buddha said, completely tame your own mind. That's most important. The body is not most important. And so when you tame your own mind, you are taming the root of all suffering, which is self-grasping. And if we wouldn't have the teachings of the Buddha, then no matter how much we would try, since beginningless time in samsara, we still have not been able to tame this concept of the self. And so now, through the teachings and understanding karma, we can understand, for example, why we have a particular kind of suffering. It is because I did something. I did it myself with my own self-clinging mind. And from self-grasping, then we develop negative emotions, and then these karmas ripen. And likewise, even the slightest happiness you experience comes from love and compassion. So when we understand karma, we must understand the most subtle workings of karma. The most subtle moment of love leads to the experience of happiness. So then we know that is what we have to develop. That is what we have to gain. It is love and compassion. And so then when you understand karma, you will be unmistaken in your actions on the path. This is also explained, for example, in the 7 verses of supplication Chitara. And also Jigden Sumgön has spoke about when you gain complete certainty in karma, then only then your Dharma practice will not merely be lip service. So it's important to understand the subtle workings of karma. And so, for example, think in this way: when you experience suffering, why did that happen? I created that myself in the beginning. It's all self-made. I did something, I accumulated karma. And how did I do that? It's because I grasped at a self, and because of that, I am afflicted. So I have created karma. If you understand that, then you see the very root of your suffering. And then you will not blame anybody else for your suffering. And then also you will see that this is the suffering that all beings experience in the world, just to varying degrees, depending on what karma they have accumulated. Not everyone experiences everything exactly in the same way. So this is how we should reflect on karma in the beginning again and again.
이제 다 소소라는 게 내가 그게 그 쳤다나 그 사진에서 가이던데 좀 쓴 거요. 누망아도 누망아비지 누마지들 생무마가 강리지 다 누망바리 누망바가니 누망가니 누마들끼니 레이엄 제대로 싸움이 레벨랑 독들이 땀다블리들이 누망아도 그들이 손질까봐 먹일까봐 내줄까봐 내가 손질와 요소 사진에送거리 강기 쪽에 누망아 누망을 유튜브에서는 누망 코나가 유튜브가 코나라지들 sampadang ni sawan ni mande nyumba tukoran di tetembe kameti takashin dablu ni chekal lo ya kan ni chek ma ni ji ji ni to yo chebo yo mal chati chila so ma mango yo mal o ta me jabo chebo yo koso lo o ta mi pa do da yo ba ke kashi ne te ma ta teng ta ni me ri ma ga ni Metro Tama Woodley, pero te say the cup of the woman, theatre late teachable. You saw what can the media dinner get me, don't mean with don't run you took on a late again. The chick out of the Rita, that's on the community, trouble you keep on Yuri, Kanga counter telephone bars, didn't worry, troubles of the runs of Senator. 로아를 좀 이성적이 오다 이성적이 능가지 당장에 다른 상태에 오면서 이성적으로 아주 그냥 상태 단계라 그바도 대화를 내서 상을 다 됐다고 상태에 좀 만든 경우요래 저는 다다다들이 로주마시바디 저담디 딸 나자탐지가 저들이 파마도 이런 제들로만 이라리 제들로만 들어봐 다 장미 발이 다른 것도 참 이동도나 저기 상대가 밤이 사이에 지내서 제가 사이에 제대로 마셔야 자선 다 대다로 생기를 당당히 맞춰들이 피바다 대화 좀라 가르치고들 진짜 랑상들이 알린가 말이 미티가 생기를 내도 되다 뭐 죽지는 않아 이제도 쟤는 저라는 게 생기를 이제도 다디는 이모 같아 다디데 사주 좀 주고 당는 라랑 저거요래 이 사지 좀 되게 라랑 저거요래 거기 잡아 탑도 거기 잡아야지 탑가서 다 사주 좀 뒤로 다다 좀 닦을 거지 다랑게 지금대로 되지도 거기 되지도 말이 라랑 소도 사주 책이잖아 나를 좀 나서는 때리는 잡아야지 사주 책 때 체미 받지 양면도 본 뒤로 다다다 다사서 왔다 되는데 다다다 뒤 레저 제타리 시청 못지나 되지 제포를 따라 갑자기오는 사족처럼 촉하고 뒤쪽들이 제 미망고 시험이 있었나요 제들이 시험이 매일 진짜 좋아서는 노래도 꼬라잖아 다디 맞이가 생活을 해야요 말이 양을 닦고 싶으면 양이 송송 가르치는 모든 생活을 나빠도 주발 진짜 해야요 말이 대회는이 따뜻한 랑 서로 되다고 새끼 탐지를 비마다 대회 제도상 상담을 따뜻하다는 다시 뒤에서 말고 지리 이보를 리고 상대요래 되면 그 조선을 쏘아도 사족선 명분은 라카리는 패디어야 돼 뜻다 수로만 좀 완전 내기니 뭐라 가졌으면 그냥 까빠 장미반이 되게 못 봐 장미가 패디어래 지금이 되는데 송통용진 전에가 그 장미 발이 그래서 다들 slaga dam tamjedi la isi pares chilong suma de datene jiti pares de samwe mares sa ko song tok yo de chele mi chase de chilong suma tamje dong yo ni de lo no ma de partinam de ko troba chase ni so de so bare de da들 suma tamje yega ma la yo de 트랙이 쳐봐요. 트랙이 잡으면 트랙 가려야지. 십기사지 농민을 저 탑재고 요래. 그때는 이제다 로좀을 So 남사람들이 바디는 뭐 찾아야 송 스테이지들이 다 로주만한 남사를 디바트리 체 로그레지.
So when you listen to the Buddha's instructions, when you hear the Buddha's instructions, you can directly apply them by looking at your own mind stream. So the Buddha also said that there will be those times of 5 degenerations, a degenerate time. But what is actually degenerate is all within the mind. It is a degenerate time because the mind of beings has degenerated. Their afflictive emotions, the 5 afflictive emotions, are much stronger. And then they engage in activity based on very powerful afflictions, and therefore they also experience corresponding results. So in this time of 5 degenerations, it's actually the mind that degenerates and then manifests in the outer world as the natural karmic manifestation of that mind. The Buddha also he spoke about there coming an aeon, a kalpa of weapons, a kalpa of famine, and a kalpa of disease. And where does that all come from? It comes from the afflictive emotions in the mind, and only the afflictive emotions in one's own mind. Negative things like these kalpas happen because sentient beings have lost their love and compassion. It's almost absent in their mind, and they are only afflicted. For example, we can see the destruction that can be caused in the present day compared to how it was in the past. We can really see that nowadays everything is so much more destructive. For example, in the old days, there were not a whole lot of weapons. And so, for example, if a king was angry with someone else, another country or so, then they would fight, maybe throw arrows and spears at each other and so on, and kill a few people, but actually nothing in comparison to how people are murdered nowadays in a war. Nowadays, we are not even speaking about individuals. We're speaking about hundreds and thousands of people who can be killed at the same time. Whole countries can be wiped out all at once. So this can happen because huge things like this happen is because huge karma has been created. And then also great suffering arises as a result of that. So therefore, we have to understanding karma has to begin with looking at your own mind. And so then the Buddha, all the Buddhas appeared in many myriads of ways in order to tame sentient beings according to their needs. The Buddhas appeared in the forms of all the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara, in all the 6 realms. For example, in the 3 lower realms. So somebody might think that, in the lower realms, there's just suffering. There's no Buddha, how can there be? But actually, even in the lower realms, the Buddhas appear in the form of a being in that realm in order to benefit beings there. So Buddha emanations really are a myriad and everywhere. And so today we receive the empowerment of Parnashavari. And so generally speaking, the father and the mother of all the deities are Tara and Chenrezig. And there are limitless manifestations of Tara. For example, in Chamay Raga Asia's prayer of Sukhavati, it says that from the Buddha Amitabha's right hand, 100 million Chenrezigs emanate, and from his left hand, 100 million Taras emanate. Basically, actually, there are as many emanations as there are sentient beings that emanate in order to benefit sentient beings. And so how do they benefit sentient beings? It's not that they just go there and pick them up, right, just like that, but it's by introducing them to karma and helping them see that the root cause of their suffering is their own self-grasping and their own afflictive emotions. So really how they benefit beings is by showing them how to liberate themselves. So really you have to liberate yourself through bodhicitta. The Buddha himself had said, I can only show you the method that leads to liberation, but liberation depends on yourself. You have to liberate yourself. And how do you liberate yourself? It is by cultivating bodhicitta. So what is then the main thing that we need to do when we cultivate bodhicitta? The main point here is that we have to look inward instead of at other people. So we are not looking at other beings thinking, oh, they're doing this and they're doing that. No, we're looking at our own mind. Our own practice. I have to practice. I have to cultivate bodhicitta. From the bottom of my heart, I have to cultivate the four immeasurables over and over again. I have to practice the deity and supplicate to the deity. And so if you develop great trust in karma, then you really will have a commitment in your mind. And through this commitment, bodhicitta will arise naturally. So now we think that many people are dying in this world, and actually it is just their bodies. When the body comes to an end, when the body perishes, then the mind still continues on to wander in the 6 realms of samsara, and it will continue to do that for as long as self-grasping exists. The mind will not perish. The mind goes on to anywhere, either the lower realms or the pure lands, but the mind is like space and therefore it cannot die. So this is how also I myself think. So when we think about how to benefit all sentient beings now. So to benefit beings, so we might think that there is an antidote for each affliction and so on. For each issue there's an antidote that we need to reflect on. And or for example, we think that we have to supplicate to the 3 jewels. But actually, as long as you cultivate a mind of bodhicitta, then whatever you practice, whatever deity you practice, will become beneficial to sentient beings. And so, however, because nowadays there was a request to, even though all deities are the same, there was a wish to receive Parnashavari empowerment, since it is said that this goddess is an antidote to disease, curing disease. And so Parnashavari is also an emanation of Tara, and Tara has appeared in limitless ways throughout limitless kalpas, and the deity possesses the qualities of enlightened body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. And emanations of these 5 are also limitless. And that is a quality of all the wisdom deities, all the yidams. So some people think that a deity, a yidam deity, is a wisdom being, but then the dharma palas, the dharma protectors, are just worldly beings. But that's not true actually, because so the deity possesses body, speech, enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. So the dharma protectors actually are an aspect of the deity's enlightened activities. And so in the case of Parnashavari, she is said to be an emanation and again, emanation servant of Sri Devi or Palden Lamo. And as such is also a protective deity representing, embodying the enlightened activity of the yidams. And so then what are they supposed to do? What are they doing with their enlightened activities? They engage in methods. They try to liberate all sentient beings from suffering. And so there is a story about Parnashavari. And in the story, it also mentions that she's an emanation of Sri Devi of Ardent Lamo. And so in any case, I will read the short history that goes along with the Parnashavari empowerment.
Roma Jisa Yende Slabon Lini Kumu number Namzele Prepa Patin Hamo Ponyo Jactin Kunde Jue Flasan Lebjeso injection crew Kine the Majek Pan Chuja just Song Songbe Flatan Jebje Kunji Chujen Jobs Dene Sami Homoni, Degeneration, Shakam Doctor, Mangua Sanje Party Noverichi, the long thing, top, lower, Kroger, there's a song, cheating. 나가나 생을 주 사회 로마 종운에 팍밤 판배송 대비 라모 수 로마 제들 자 종대 주 종대 사주 빼면이게 간이 토모자 정철 자와서 유대 군례 제 삼백절에 그들은 Doctor Tamji Shiva Tang, Menam Tamji, Menam Tamji, Kozi Ba, Parnashavari Sa, Nam Georgi Gombar Sa, Sumbi, Mudukunzuk Jule, Trashikunja Dapo, Luci, Kunji, Justin Jur, Sabah Maton Pardon, Jactin Kunla Pachis, somewhere, Tendi, Dibari, Tendi, Logi Hatang Mango, Jamina Mango, Yore, Tripati, I say, Lina, Yuna, Mina, Tinsamo, Jutam Yang, Yore, Rita, Jactin Roman, I'm sorry, Jactin Roma Senti, Tunchi Balatini, Fire Tom, Yellow among the Pepper. There is a penalty with the maze of Kitty. The young did you consider Tani Mangote, the young sent you the tongues, etc. Me, Charlton, there is a Gary Tamsi, Teta, maturity, and Damita Tani and Jumbi, 11 cities on Separatini, Kongawa, Tanchiami Batani, Tegitini, Tatotita, Sanjitini, Sanjik long, young Tato Sanjay warrior, Sanjik don't say, young Tato, Tata Sanji, the long tops of the Teta, the Towa Jitin Romare, Madebare, some of you Tanti Jitin comes to Topare, son, the couple of drama among what they Sanjila, the Usa, you're a trouble, Sony, tell you're it. Don't property, duty, Jitin Romare, Madebare, don't know, Siena. Degeneration or Mari, Yemi, Negative new Mama, Jade, Loquanti Maso, Negative, Charity, Tangi, what is large, there's Santos, Shopchi, what is large, the Dadi in the Chado Chot in Jade, then no Chado, Negative, just 100 Matapari, you know, Tangi Lady or little, no wrong lady, they don't sort in we don't know the Dadi and human is your age, then they go say, Gene. That's the all day, my people at the lot of job songs, no water in jail songs, no particular late, and we are eating the late song bona, but the Nasa of Jam is just to take over it, me took to what energy. The need the late Changi, this mercy what them more push it, that is so announced about, oh, the need the late Changi, spent out the dominion, double the late Changi, less up potential less Changi, let the sun go, let the sun touch up, said the single book, young man had it, Toya or rest, and some blue over it, till over it, what it, the top and that. Possibly teenager Tashes on Mortanti, did the room Tashes on Teta also at the Travis dictate coming at the top near Saraptia Chapel or
And this empowerment comes from the 50 Drikung Kagyu empowerments, and it is number 17. So number 17 is the brief empowerment of Parnashavari, the goddess dressed in leaves. And so this is the history. And this goddess is a servant to Sri Devi, or Balde Lamo, who emanated from wrathful Vairocana. When she traveled throughout all the world, the 8 classes of gods and spirits were terrified and ran away. So Avalokiteshvara said, "Do not be afraid, make offerings to her and go for refuge in her." Thus, the 8 classes of gods and spirits all made offerings to her and took refuge in her. Then the goddess entered Samadhi, and she received the prophecy that in the future, in the pure method Buddha realm, she would become the Buddha glorious jeweled gem. Then she traveled to the 6 realms of samsara and taught the Dharma there. When staying at the Radiant Joy Mountain Hermitage, she wore the leaves of the wilderness tree and recited the Dharani of noble Ajita. Thus she became known as a Parnashavari, the goddess dressed in leaves. According to the Net of Illusion and many other tantras, this Dharani belongs to the Kriya Yoga class, and the goddess is the wrathful servant of the Lotus family. The Sambhuti Tantra says, "She who pacifies all unruly ones and destroys all illnesses is called Parnashavari. Yogic practitioners should practice her. There are limitless benefits to her practice, including protection against all contagious disease." The revelation of Siddhi's Tantra says, "The mistress of all auspiciousness is the refuge for all those with bodies. Until samsaric existence is emptied, there will be no obstacles in the world." So that was the history, the short history, and there are many different histories. There are also longer ones. And so the history is most likely related to the Sri Devi Tantra. And so in any case, what's most important to understand about her is that, as I always say, all deities of the female class really are emanations of Tara. And Tara appears in many ways to benefit sentient beings. She appears in the god realm or in the human realm as a human being. For example, appearing as a human being, she also then, those emanations then also undergo many hardships, the hardships of the humans. And they still continue to act for the benefit of sentient beings. And then, for example, they might appear as a spiritual teacher to the humans. And so then, due to though the human world, they run into all sorts of difficulties there, and still they do not grow tired of it, and they continue to tirelessly act for the benefit of sentient beings. And knowing that ultimately these sentient beings can become Buddhas, can become enlightened. So this is who she really is, Parnashavari. She really mainly is a deity that is one with Tara, and so are all the female deities. And then all of these deities have different stories, temporary at relative level, but ultimately really they are emanations of Tara. So temporarily they have different stories because they appear, for example, in the human world, and then they have different stories that happened in their lifetimes in the human world, for example. But they all trace back to Tara. And likewise, for example, we often speak about gods and demons. Actually, ultimately, there are no gods and demons. It is just something that we temporarily create in our own mind with our own afflictive emotions. So we think that there's something that's causing harm in the world, and that is what we call like demonic or a demon. But basically what a demon really is the afflictive emotion within one's mind, the corrupt or distorted intentions in one's mind. And then the opposite of that is a deity, so we call, or a god. So we often label those individuals who have a strong bodhichitta, we call them like God, like divine beings. And then those who are very selfish, we call them demonic beings. But this is just how it appears temporarily. Ultimately, there really are no gods and demons. It's something that constantly changes, also due to whatever karma we create. So really, it's all a creation of our own mind. A demon is the creation of our own self-grasping, our afflictive emotions. And so then sometimes, due to the various outer conditions that arise, it appears to us as though, something good happened, so it's because of the deity. The deity made this happen. The deity made this good thing happen. And if something bad happens, we think that, this was caused by a demon. This must have been something evil that did that. But actually, all the harm that happens, we shouldn't even label it evil, because it's also a good thing, because any suffering purifies our negative karma. It's like if you have a very severe disease, a sickness, sometimes you have to also undergo very severe medical treatment, like have to do a surgery or have to take very strong medicine in order to heal. And so similarly, the suffering is what purifies the negative karma. So that is what we are also introduced to in the secret mantra. And so we should apply that to our own experience and our own suffering, and also see that all the suffering that the people now experience in the world is all a purification of negative karma. All that karma that was accumulated with afflictive emotions. And ultimately, whenever all that karma has become purified, what remains always is Buddha nature. So therefore, know that in the future, all of these beings can attain Buddhahood. So it's important that you relax your mind a bit. And so again, whatever sadhana deity we practice, all the male classes of deities are an aspect of Chenrezig, and all the female deities are an aspect of Tara. So if you practice the deity, supplicate to the deity on the basis of such an understanding, then no matter what deity you practice, the signs of accomplishments will be swift, and blessings will be great.
Look Papa Tamchiri Tasum, the young time to go your way. They really want to cut the tomato, go to the Georgia Sabaran, go to the Dungon, take it, the Hatam Penny or the Yaba, that are some bit.
And so, especially now where there is much suffering and disease, now in the beginning, of the empowerment, we're going to recite the 100-syllable Vajrasattva mantra. And so for that, visualize a Vajrasattva above your crown and visualize your central channel going through your body. And think that it is open, like this bell at your crown. And above your crown is Vajrasattva. And from him, a stream of blessings descends down and enters the central channel and then pervades your entire body. And think that this nectar washes away, cleanses all the impurities in your body and all negative karma, the 36 impure substances of your body, all the garbage is being purified. And think that the nectar pervades the 5 chakras and each and every channel of your body until it reaches each and every pore of your skin. And in this way, think that all negativity has become purified. So meditate on this continuously. So this is how we should meditate in the beginning of the empowerment and also thereafter. It's very beneficial to visualize this, meditate on this continuously, visualizing the Buddha, Vajrasattva above your crown and so forth. So now we continue with the recitation of the 100-syllable mantra.
Samaya, Mane Bavaya, Beda Sato Tenu, Tudano me Bava, Sotakayo Meva, Subechayo me Bava, Anna me Bava, Savata me Pai, Sovagama Satami, Satanji, Uncle. Ah, oh, Bangavina, Sangata, the Dhamma Mesa, Bedabama, Samaya, no, Abhikeka de Samaya, oh, I'm a bit at the home, bay of Zoba, Yoda, one to one, the Yoromon, officer, body, and here, Jajuan, oh, the Joras, Thomas, Toba, but I Devachi Baji, the Manapatan, Barajo, Magaru, Mama, the Zoma, Bezu, Umagar, Mazwana, the Uma, home, Magar, Matavan, I didn't bet that the Oma, Bezo, did it, Shimma, Sodom, the Jim was so did the Bala, good job, little sometimes you want to touch it on your door and some low, using what you. The one I got out of the morning, no man of those I tell a Thomas the young never so much was saying, too much to them, touching your dad, not so much you walk like about what they are. Soon Jim, you can man, so what does them brother appear? Gina de Bama, the Jom, Jima, John, Galaga, Lama, the nature of the social. Don't you know the nature of the song, but the Sazan, Dana Bayana, Hoba, Run, 个长什么我都没去。这正说同学在交讲爸爸的时候，我等到就都去管他对呀，那老表我同学都去参加我就从他同学都去找我去报道，就大概帮他都去那也这个时候都去找我这一次说，一些就面包帮上面吧，怎么就是完全是我送过来一些家去我就我们在那边在爸爸被这边的被这这个了，被这了没这了，下来做了这么上这么没这做了俺那个。轰轰轰轰轰！我这里弄搞到你们身边上这个动画个啥这里当地嘛说用吧有嘛的，这个呢这里让上说个当地的灯啊，这里看到身边的当地对呢，这里这个神农就给那对身体传媒吧，在那个身体当地这里上面扎不会有上这里的啥，我是面扎不的。
The root of suffering of all sentient beings, limitless space, is self-grasping. And there is not a single affliction that doesn't arise from self-grasping. So bring to mind your own self-grasping and then the self-grasping of all sentient beings, bring it all into one and think that you are offering it up to the Buddhas abiding in space, along with the entire outer universe. So the entire universe and all beings are made an offering. So think that now I am making outer, inner, and a secret mandala offering. And the offering is made to the innate union of the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya, which pervade all of space at all times. And so for this reason, the moment we think of them, we bring the deity to mind, they're already here in the space before us, because actually they are here continuously, always all pervasive. But to bring this to mind, we supplicate them and we offer a mandala to them.
In the Yellow Prayer Book on page 7, an infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite oceans of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine. By offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The Supreme Mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Devada Kini Radha Mandala
So think that I'm receiving this empowerment from the field of refuge, which the deity is abiding in space before me. And because it is the root of the Dharma, we first take refuge and we cultivate bodhichitta, which are recitations that we are going to repeat.
Toro Namjongwa Dering Shibe Rinchichi Towo Dala Garden so.
And then in English, embodiment of omniscient wisdom, who utterly purifies the wheel of existence through your kindness, please grant me the principal deity of the precious treasury you are setting forth today.
Mege so ja rowe gela ji rang changje changche yi ji zong sangje chu dang chong chong la changche parde da jam ji rang ji dong ni rab drug sir sangje sem ne ji par je sangje cho ge sem ne ji ji ne sem ji tam ji da gi gong da ye sangje chung cho yi yong jie par ji ro la pen se chang jie re par jo.
In English, I take refuge in the three jewels. I confess all misdeeds and non-virtues. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings and hold the Buddha's awakening in mind. Until attaining awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. I give rise to bodhichitta. Having given rise to the mind of supreme awakening, I welcome all beings. I will engage in the supreme bodhisattva conduct that is pleasing to all. May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
내 왕자는 처음으로 다 산축체는 대신 왕거지잖아. 토만으로 산축체인데 왕은 너무 산축체는 받대 참 영당 영접적인 거였어.
The very seed, essence of even 100 empowerments, of all empowerments, is bodhicitta. And this is how we first begin the empowerment. It's with bodhicitta. So over and over, again and again, bring this to mind. The essence of the empowerment is bodhicitta. And if bodhicitta is present within your mind, then just naturally, you should know that naturally whatever you do becomes excellent conduct. Master, please heed me. Please bestow upon me the empowerment of body, speech, and mind of the Bhagavati Parnashavari. So now cultivate this wish of wanting to, I want to benefit sentient beings. And then the moment this wish arises in your mind, think of the form of the deity. And that then is the actual deity. There's no difference between what arises and the deity. So that's also because bodhichitta is connected to your Buddha nature. So this really that's very important. And this is really the essence, the root of the empowerment.
Zumba, Sor, Dani, Rola, Heidunta, Tochi, Chula, Tondepji, Saji, Ishi, Jidozo.
Vajra holder, please heed me. For the benefit of beings, I supplicate you, exalted one, please cause the mudra of wisdom to arise.
Da yung some yaga ye then jebe shawana cho ching jebe lang zo yung ba chungwa jing daga bo sha da jing to ju de chang je zha zi ba ne dang dong tong jie xia jie ne ba song zhe ju bin jing de bag on go man ba ma bo ni ga hong bo de some ne zhe be he some ba so ni de da zhe ba da do chen la ka ba ba da ro man so do ba go je 운전아 야 내 사방에 대셔 좀 샤워 아야만 야나 아이셔야这个谁嘛没西巴的一上中嘛，他就把怎么样就点把是慢慢把那点把就是地转面子，老人养老婆就这个生活就是叫我后来就把，我跟老人啊养米什么什么什么。 Toda como loya na man yen wa jin ro be da bam ro de zo wa na da bam ro de zo on be da alo bam ro de zo wa on be da ne de da de na on be da ne de da de sa ya zo wa do je ne sa je lo lo wa jo be jo yong ne je da da de da da de so je so mo jo so de be jo ya no no ko ma je 산조 서반은 다시 조 산조 서만은 저 도지를 리는 토마는 저 그때 토는 저 서로 와에 보다 보면 저 보면 저 도가 저기 빠지 라고 봐는 와에 메서 그걸로 참 이제 봐가 뭐 저 생각하는 게 이제 요거 도대 요와서 뭐 도저 제보네요 가서 뭐요 사제군 여사는다 내려서 좀 봐서 오면서 와다 다음에도 앞에 그까지 정말 이제요 드레싱기 장단이나 비집진 동안에 정말 남들이 실질이 지도로만 걸 듣지 저 들리탑 강송사 지금 같은 정보를
I think that emanation of Tara appears as at the crown of each sentient being. So, as many emanations as there are sentient beings, holding a vase in her hand and pouring down the empowerment nectar into the crowns of each sentient being. And then the nectar fills up their bodies and they become purified. So focus on this visualization single-pointedly.
내가 왕고에 듣지 주주를 삼계강 그만큼 다 체험하면 있는 지라니 이렇게 다 보자는 거지다 소보죠 저거 오지 저거 소원이 저거 왕가라요 그러지 마 처음에 좀 밤에 보가면서 뭐도 또 뭔가 저런 원다 저저 저거 뭐 소집에 맞아봐 남들 제가 완전히 제가 다시 당보 저기 보는 저 대달 이선나에 리저고는 사버트만 박차선 내서 제가 다 그래서 너무 많이 봐서 리라이런지 리라이 제는 스나동 성적이랑 이거 봐라 왕 내가 저거서 까봐지도 세봐요 너
Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the body and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete form empowerment. You are now empowered to practice the generation stage of visualizing your body as the deity, the union of appearance and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Nirmanakaya.
랑을 위해 신공을 매잡아는 책송대 제사동 나동 자초다로 차송도 때 양탕용대 책 잡하면 뭐고는 이거는 이제 왔다 그러니 지금 지마 처벌하더니 참 벌써 랑을 매와는 게 좋아 저들이 되게 사람들 그러래.
So during the form empowerment of the deity, I think that the moment the deity's form comes to your mind, instantly think that your body is burned away. It disappears just like a pile of wood is being burned away by fire. And think that your body then becomes clear and empty, or appearing and empty, just like a rainbow. So visualize this over and over again, hundreds of times. Every time you visualize this, you are purifying obscurations. And then once you have become habituated to it, later on, it will appear to you even as though you have no more physical body. And that's the time when the blessings will actually enter you.
내가 동 벌새 뭐 대사요만 자송제 대다를 이제 양고용도 좀 깨는지 진짜 총도 양사용도 쌓다.
So when you visualize the deity clearly but empty of self-nature, like a rainbow. Within that nature, actually, disease and evil spirits and obstacles and afflictive emotions do not exist. They have no dwelling place in a rainbow-like body. So therefore, visualize it over and over again. When you practice the generation stage, you should visualize again and again your body as like a rainbow-like body. Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Please grant me the great wisdom of the mantra empowerment, which is the source of all accomplishments. So then think that from the Vajra master's heart, the mantra garland emanates, and so actually the seed syllable of this deity is Bam, but actually probably it's also okay if you visualize the Dam syllable. So think that the mantra garland comes to circle around the seed syllable. So the mantra Om Pishatsi Parnashavari Savamari Prashamani Hung. So think that the mantra then continuously circles around the Dham at your heart. So first think that it emerges in a form of light from the mouth of the Vajramaster, and then it also it showers down like rain falling down in a form of mantra syllables. And then when you repeat the mantra, when you say the mantra, think that now you have received the mantra garland, which begins to circle around the Dham syllable at your heart. And so then it's important to continue to visualize and meditate on the mantra circle. Mana Toha Om Pe Shaze Parnashavari Sava Tsara Dashamana Soha Om Pe Shaze Pane Shavari Sava Tsara Dashamana Soha Omni Dala Talaji Dala Govar Zedo So
좀 달라서 달라고 war도 가지고 그렇다는 저 욕되면 돼서 좀 잘해도만 돼도 온수라지 상배서여서 이제 어디에 저런 매워 저는 다지나다면 요거 진짜다 뭐 찍는 거지 저는 이제 이거 다시 봐 스타지부터 도구에 당들어야 그런데 저도 소식 속들이 만으로라는 또 다다 나한테지 강청아 되어서 내디 저랑 나게 걸 받쳐줘지 이걸 받쳐줘서 라이프 거치만 나걸 받쳐줘지 나자 이제 막
So here at this point is the time when we should drink the nectar. So for that, now you can eat a money pill, a blessing pill that you have. And then just continue to think that the mantra circle, the string is there. So visualize the mantra string. And so then now the visualization of the deity's form is what purifies the karmic imprints of the body, and the sound of the deity's mantra purifies the karmic imprints of the speech. So that mainly is our fixation, our grasping at sound and speech.
차당 똑바가들이 나또만 보다 고차 요거리 대이나 하나님 잡아지다 왕돌 팔장요리 심하면 요거 체들이 수아전심에 버텨져도 나전심에 버당 다고저지 가서 과장 저 심한 동성 대개지와 동대레.
So it is because it is on the basis of our body and speech that we develop many thoughts of attachment and aversion. And this endless chain of thoughts is what places these karmic imprints into our mind. And so through receiving the empowerment, we are purifying all of these previously accumulated negativities and also prevent them from further arising in the future. So this is why it is important to continuously visualize the deity and recite the deity's mantra. In this way, then all previously accumulated negativities are purified and are prevented from arising in the future. So this is the important point here. Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the speech and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete speech empowerment. You are now empowered to recite the deity's secret mantra, the union of sound and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Sambhogakaya.
도제 zemba 몽초소 다음에 오라 폐동者바오 도제 촉부지 롬조 등등 지도소.
And then in order to receive the mind empowerment, please repeat the following. Vajra holder, please heed me for the benefit of beings. Courageous Vajra master, please cause the samadhi of the supreme mind to arise.
아서도 만나러 오늘 단통고래 들이로 많이 tutorial 만나러 보는 들이 홍요지
So if you have a money pill, now is the time to eat it, to take one, and think that inside of that pill is a Hung syllable.
저거 성원을 저는 내가야 저가 보고 내가야 저기거니 내가야 내서 밥을 먹어 가지고 마상게 돼서 라도와나 한테 성원 섬지게 남아서 받으면 좀 나서 얼마나 있으면 준비 지난 건들가 있으면 하사를 줄로만 좀 먹고 또 예미돼 줘 봐마라 부모님이 다 지내는 데 나냐 말고도 이제 네, sempre paghiamo una taxia da home de tenesa che da sa san che su home de sa de so de de yo na de sempre che do de na ge ji xi da ye mi ba jin tang na ni da da lu ga ba cha de de na ha de ba song cha de so mo yo de pe na cha ta ma she jo ba na ro ba la ji she jo ba ma na lo ya na 그래서 똑같이 처담제와 연구요 말에 빼다가 시시대 시sem제 시작 받은 드리선 접토요 말에 로블 좀 하지 드리사제 탑체 받이게 이제 홍보 좀 한곳에 차례다 탑치게 드리 나도 강연하다 홍비는 나도 직장을 쓴 당사리 노요에 철 정전이 하정들이 니가 전부 망고요 이제 파사야 되니 홈페이지는 싸서 양쌀사고요 저가사고요 쌀사고요 그 생들을 만데 그리고 잡서 참
So now, in order to purify the obscurations of the mind, meditate on the syllable Hung. And so generally, even though all the deities have their own seed syllable, the Hung syllable is really a seed syllable, like the life force of all the deities. And so focus on that single pointed limb, and then it becomes indivisible from your own mindfulness. And if you're able to sustain such mindfulness, then, as you mentioned before, the karmic imprints of body and speech and mind all become purified. So it is then your body, then you become just like a crystal vase that is filled with pure water. So if the crystal vase is pure inside, then and you fill it with pure water, then even if the outside of the vase becomes a little bit stained, the stains cannot really directly connect to the water anyways. So if you do not separate from mindfulness, your mind cannot become obscured. That is why we speak about those temporary or adventitious obscurations. And so the Buddha gave many skillful means to purify these obscurations. And one of them is to visualize the Hung syllable, which I have mentioned to you many times. So whenever a thought arises in the mind, instantly think of Hung. And the Hung then completely disperses all thoughts. And then there is no thought. The mind is completely empty. And then there is no obscuration. So there are many opportunities, many ways to accumulate obscurations. So there are many kind of dangerous circumstances that obscure the mind very easily. The mind becomes obscured very easily. So it's very easy for these imprints to enter the mind, but likewise, it's just as easy to clear them away, to purify them all. So now everyone meditate.
왕 탐색의 신분들이 지금 말하는 바람들이 바바트 소들이 왔어요 왕지 나를 잡을 동안 나가 왕지 이렇게 살아 봤죠 나다 또 봐 이거요 마트는 다들 버차인데 사실은 slag 버차리들이 이 버차들 다 놓여요 이 샘들이 로바 도주 왕성 그 당시 세번 내려오는 그 체들이 샘거리 짱을 샘라데 출라도 동들어 봐래 직접 지금 랑 샘을 쳤다고 랑 샘을 다고 랑 샘을 쳤대는 지금 이렇게 또 체로래 갑자기 직접을 샘 동반 남하다 자체 땅을 랑 샘을 따고 샘을 때 나도 직접요 말이야 다 주대 사실부터 생리절이 되시긴 보면서 사실 타제 타와 생기는 사제이다. 생광 이절의 사제이 로로 나도 나지 제가 오늘 따라서 생을 따고 땅지 상상 쳤대. 애들이 쓸때 배배 동공에서 나 생을 따고서 뭔가요 말로 다 생을 따지.
And this is the essence of all empowerments. Milarepa had said that the outer empowerment is when the empowerment vase is placed onto your crown. The inner empowerment is when you visualize your body in the form of the deity. So this is when you think of the deity, you actually become the deity. So it's really the thought, that the mind that changes. You see yourself as the deity. So basically, if you think me, if you think I, then you place that imprint in the mind, and that is what you perceive. But if you think of the deity, then all that appears is the deity, and that purifies this karmic imprint of grasping at the I, the me. And then Milarepa said the ultimate empowerment is when you recognize, when you actualize the true ultimate nature of the mind, it's in a natural state. And actually, it's all for that sake. All of the entire empowerment, all practice is just for that sake, in order to realize the true nature of your mind. Tilopa had said, without a single thought, look decisively at the ultimate nature. So think about nothing and look at your mind. And then just naturally thinking stops. Then there is no thoughts in your mind. When there are no thoughts in your mind, the mind becomes like empty space. And then always continue to do that. Continue to look at the mind. So you always should have this feeling of, I have to look at my mind. And then when you look at the mind, there is nothing there like space. And when you decide upon that, when you gain certainty in that, you have seen the view of Mahamudra, which is Buddha nature. And also already the Buddha had decided that. He said that all beings are actually Buddhas. So the basis of their mind, their fundamental nature, is actually Buddha. And it's just that thoughts appear momentarily. So look at your mind right now, and in a very direct way, without a single thought. You decisively and directly look at your mind. Don't give it any name, no concepts, don't label it anything. Just look directly at the mind now. Being thus initiated, the karmic imprints and defilements accumulated with the mind and all grasping at them are purified, and you have received the complete mind empowerment. You are now empowered to meditate on the nature of the deity's mind, the union of clarity and emptiness. As a result, you will have the fortune to accomplish the Dharmakaya.
왕소 탐색의 성성, 왕소 탐색이 강인데다가 탐색 기바들에 이것도 탐방 어떻게 탐색 가시모리 삼바단 기제 조바선 삼바단 기제 저기 오마타버에 이제 녹서 로그데 누 녹사들에 세진도 나오고 세진도 들더니 세트를 줘봐치 보여 자기 요만을 평균 요만을 이제 사족생도 같이 보이고 가는 내가 토리 타족 산지에 보면 이제 찍어지더니 지금 저 산지에 저기 님다를 그들 사족생 돌보체 이제 지금들 왕접송인데 요만을 또한테 왕 청계의 양이 ጭ도 이제 사족생부터 잘 보려 왕 디탑팅데 다들 오감요를 做사족생을等于做公家呀또 남부 사족생들 공자 시바탄 게 살려서 보고 그것도 담적되는 삼바천이 이제 비고 이제 싸웠다 소왔다 왔다 토탈에 왕도라지는 담적되는 저거에 이제 다른 왕접성 주로 남아
And so then, in order to stabilize these blessings, it is said one should guard the Samaya, which is the life force of the empowerment. And so, on a relative level, there are some who consider the relative level as more important. And so, on the relative level, for us, this is important, which is we first need to cultivate love, compassion, and patience. So for us, like ordinary beings, this is most important. Love and compassion are like milk, and patience is like the vessel that you pour the milk in. So the vessel has to be a golden vessel. A golden vessel cannot break easily, and it cannot become damaged easily. So just like this is how it is when you have patience. So to summarize it, it is bodhichitta. That's most important. And that is the only cause of birth in the higher realms, temporarily, and of ultimately attaining enlightenment. Bodhichitta is like the heart of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. So therefore, as our Samaya, we will repeat the precious bodhichitta, a prayer. And that is really what you should practice. That is what you should keep as the Samaya, like your life force. So for you disciples who receive many empowerments, that's really what is most important. It is because we receive many empowerment that we have to know how to bring them all into one single essence. Because often we get sidetracked and people think that, there is this Samaya for this empowerment and that Samaya for that empowerment and so forth. But nowadays we don't really have the opportunity to practice each and every specific Samaya, because what's most important is the Samaya of bodhicitta on the relative level. On the ultimate level, if you know meditation, then it means to meditate with mindfulness, to rest in a state of Mahamudra. So on the relative level, the Samaya is bodhicitta immeasurable love. That is the root, the life force of the Samaya, of the empowerment. That's what is most important. So even though you might have received many empowerments or practices, you have to know how to gather them all into this one single essence. So Dharma friends, this completes the empowerment.
Sanjo Rinpoche Maje Bana Jeje Jeba Nyamba Meba Yang Hone Abonga Bewa Yo the Doma, the top, the Japsaman boy, or it is a new what sudden, the Duma Chabdima, the Duma Chabdima, why for long, just that one, the Doma Tapsi, Chabdima, the Chebe Barman, the Judah send the young Yore, take each of your head. There is a Mamma said, related to some to the Churona Matashi.
So and there is this Tara practice, and so even if there are hundreds of different forms and of Tara and Samayas, the essence is in the 7 verses of supplication to Tara. So therefore, you should really gain a good understanding of these 7 verses and keep those 7 verses really as your Samaya by practicing and reading it on an ongoing basis. Because this is really a prayer that shows how Tara, the deity, really is always together with you in your mind. So it's very important. And now in the end, we will together recite dedication prayers. Many Tashviteleg, my Dharma friends.
Dedication on the prayer book, page 18. Great Vajradhara, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lord Gampopa, Pagmodrupa, and Lord Drikung. May the auspiciousness of the Kakyu Lamas prevail. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage gurus, divine assembly of Yidams, assemblies of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, here and Yogini and her assembly of Dakinis, all of you dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed me. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the affliction of attachment, hatred, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May thoughts of fame, reputation, respect, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhichitta. And may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. At the moment of death, may I not experience the suffering of being abruptly severed from this life. May I not suffer terrible death. May I not die confused by wrong views. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind itself and in the crystal clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. For this realm encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezi, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the 3 jewels. Great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya Lion. Supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of the Lord Drikung, great Lord of the 3 jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Aryadeva, emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigten Gompo, May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. Crown of the Shakyas, kind friend to strangers, the 17 great Panditas, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Gampopa, Digdan Songgun, and their lineage heirs, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Protector Amitayus, transcendent Lord who grants supreme life, everlasting, stable, and unchanging, and who diverts from untimely death anyone who merely hears your name or thinks of you, please bestow good fortune and auspiciousness. Living austerely in the higher training of discipline, full of compassion, that is the glory of those to be tamed, devoid of all grasping, never parting from Mahamudra's natural state. Naden Tempe Nima, son of the teachings, may your life remain firm. May the teachings of the great Drikung Ratnashri, master of interdependence, omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezi. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum Re. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Rinpoche, Toche,